Hello everyone, my name is Kirby Heck and I am the other half of the Shared Minds podcast. So Liam's already done his video talking about him and his life and where he how he fits into the piece. So now I'm going to complete the rest of the puzzle and I'll do my half. So mental health has always been something that I've always been quite passionate about. So, and I know that sounds cliche and like, ooh, of course you have. But no, seriously, growing up I had a very good life, a very comfortable life. So I'm not one of those guys who come from a traumatic background. And I think I'm not unfortunately, but in that hardship was something that I never suffered much growing up. I was taught a lot of great lessons about resilience and bouncing back and how to keep your head up and how to keep going. And failing is the best teacher that you can ever have. Like, my parents were both absolutely fantastic in my upbringing, so I've got nothing to talk about there. But for me, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I've been told recently, because I'm getting married in a few weeks, I had my Bucks party a few months ago, and there was someone at that Bucks party who said that I have this unwavering positivity and just this outlook on life that everything will be great and everything will be fine and everything will be great and don't stress, don't worry, and I just had this undying belief in people that I met, and I had this ability to put the power of belief into other people. So I could channel it through myself, channel it through them, and help people get what they really wanted or get through what they wanted. Something that I didn't know that I did very naturally well until it was pointed out to me a few months ago. But this is when the podcast was already rolling, and I was still working I was still working full-time, and the podcast was part-time at that point. But I digress. So throughout high school, I was loved. I was friends with everyone. I knew everything about everyone. I knew where people were up to in their lives. I knew their family, friends, all that. And I was school captain. I was leading a musical. The standard, I peaked in high school. So that's all right. Yeah. So anyway, we're here now. I did I'm getting sidetracked. Peaked in high school. Upon leaving, I started in real estate. So I did 10 years as a real estate agent, and I guess the times that I were there, the first few years where I was finding who I was and I was using what I was naturally gifted at. So I was naturally gifted at interacting with people and building relationships very quickly. And I was in a little independent agency that had no pressure on you to do things. It was very relaxed, do things at your own pace. And I was on a wage, so I was just cruising along. I was working hard. I was meeting a lot of people and I was building a lot of great connections. But as you can imagine, being a real estate agent at 18 years old is not something that people look for in a real estate agent. So I was basically I spent 3 to 4 years learning under another agent who I'm still quite close with to this day. I owe him a lot of things. But then when I went out on my own as a solo agent, things were fantastic. I was doing so well, and because I was cruising and I could be who I wanted to be, I then unfortunately got headhunted. Well, I say unfortunately, but I wouldn't be here today if it didn't happen. I got recruited by another company to go and work for them. And upon going to that company, I learnt what it really took to be in real estate. And I wanted to be this particular person, and I had these goals of who I wanted to be. But unfortunately, to be that person, I had to not be me anymore. And I can remember one of the bosses at this place telling me that I need to change and I need to not change the way I drive, but I had like stickers on my car, like fun stickers and stuff like that, because I'm a huge nerd. He told me I had to get rid of them all. I wasn't allowed to do this. I wasn't allowed to do this. Don't talk to them, pressure them and force them and get them to sign up with you and all that kind of stuff. So it was a very, sorry, getting a call in. It's all right. So it was a remolding program and a remolding time, and it was so bad for me because I then started to live as the person that I had to be to succeed in the field I was in. And unless you've been there and tried to do that before, it kills you, because I was going against my morals, I was going against my ethics, I was going everything that I've been taught and I'd been brought up to do. And I operated this way for the next 4 years of my life without even knowing. So I was being not who I was meant to be. I was not doing what I was good at, and it was absolutely killing me on the inside. I was an anxious mess. And it's really where my problems began, because I became so self-conscious, so anxious. I had so much anxiety. I can't ever say that I had depression, but upon looking back now, the signs were there. I was overweight. I was lazy. I had no drive to do anything. I'd turn up, do my thing, and go home. And I hated the way things were. I was going out and I was drinking consistently. Like, most afternoons after work, I was getting drinks on the way home, and I was having a 6-pack at home, and it was really bad. So, and then one thing led to another. I met Liam at one of the jobs that I was working at the time, a real estate job. Me and him met at the same company. And upon meeting Liam, he didn't like me at the start. Given where we're at now, he actually has said that he didn't actually like me when we first met, which is quite funny now. He said I was interesting and he couldn't work me out. Anyway, and as I said, I always had this inspiring positivity and this drive that I could push through people to make them better. So even in my times where I was completely miserable and I didn't even know it, I was inspiring others to be the best that they could, but I was suffering. So all the belief and all the things that I wanted to do and the things I wanted to achieve, I was putting through them and watching them succeed, and I was just cruising along being miserable. Liam opened up to me one day about his OCD, and it pretty much, he said that, like in Liam's words, when I heard him speak, I went, I can understand. I said, I understand you. I don't understand it, but I can understand your pain. And Liam said that he could just trust me straight from that. And from that moment, we've been pretty much inseparable. We went through, I always say, if you're feeling helpless, help someone else. So what I was actually doing is I was hoping that subconsciously, in the effect to fix Liam, I was going to fix myself. And I never really shared much of my burdens with Liam. I occasionally would, but I didn't want it to carry him. He had too much to worry about. I didn't want him to worry about it as well, which is just classic of my personality type. But we'll get into that later. And I didn't want to burden Liam with what I was going through because he was already suffering from a lot. There was times where I was at work and I went out to the car and I said to the boss, I've got an appointment on. And I put fake appointments in the calendar at random addresses of people that I'd already been to and I knew. So if they were like, did Kirby, I don't know. I overthought it. If Kirby didn't turn up. But anyway, I'm digressing. Fake appointments, and I would jump in the car and go for a drive and cry in the car. Just let emotions out. Because I just had this build-up of emotions that I didn't know why, and it was because I was pretending to be someone I wasn't, going for a goal that didn't truly align with what I wanted to be, and I wasn't making the money I wanted to make. So when you put all that into perspective, usually you will tolerate something if you're making the money to do it. I don't recommend it, but you can. I wasn't making the money. I wasn't making the profile. I wasn't having the impact I had. I was being someone that I wasn't meant to be. And it was just, I was getting no reaping rewards from it. So this is all happening while I'm helping Liam. At the time, I'm taking 2 a.m. phone calls from the guy because he was having really bad OCD and anxiety problems. You can go listen to that on his half of the story. I'm sure he yapped about it for ages. But me, so yeah, it was an outlet for me to feel better about myself. And then eventually when I did open it all up to Liam, it became a factor of, we actually said to each other, actually, take that back. I'll step back a bit. We moved to another real estate agency. We only lasted there maybe like 3 months or something. Liam quit real estate and left and went and joined another job. I then went on a holiday to Canada, and this was at the time where we'd gotten through a lot of progress and helped Liam a lot. And I decided, this is my calling. I've genuinely loved helping. Even though it kept me up late at night and all this stuff, I genuinely loved helping him through this. So I decided that I went off and started doing counselor courses. So I quit real estate full-time and did this full-time. So I didn't work for a few months while I did these courses. I then realized that I couldn't actually help the people the way that I wanted to based off this course, because, and I still learn everything from it, but I couldn't help people the way that I wanted to. It was very clinical, very, very, very clinical. Come and sit in front of me for an hour and we're gonna, and then I'm gonna give you half an answer. And look, I'm not putting anything bad on them, but it's not the way that I wanted to help people. I wanted a more lived experience, face-to-face help grow and all that kind of stuff. So, where was I going with this? Yes, so then did the course, but I realized very shortly, and now upon doing further study, I actually know what was the problem there. I again started getting run down again. I started getting lost in my head. I started getting down on myself. And not that I wasn't making money. Money was not the issue. I had over 150 grand in the bank account. So I was just living happy. But upon now, after all the stuff I've learned from the podcast, I didn't have purpose. I kind of knew that the counseling course wasn't going to be the solution, but I just did it to run away from real estate. And then I went and got a job at the bank, just to try and find purpose. Made me even sadder and more depressed than when I started, so it didn't work. Then I jumped back into the first real estate job I saw just because it was something familiar and I knew. And then next thing I knew, I was trapped by the system again. I was back. I was back in this endless wheel of time prison that just kept going around and around, and I was trapped. I was stuck again. Thankfully though, I was able to get over a lot of not get over, but I started to understand why I was feeling the ways that I did. Still hated real estate, but it was a paycheck because I was getting married at this point. Liam was back in real estate and pretty much was over his OCD. When we were in the thick of it, like the thick of it, when I was getting in my car crying, talking to Liam at 2 a.m. in the morning, we made a vow that when we got through the other side of this, we would help people in no matter what way we wanted to. After doing the counseling course, I realized that degrees and university and TAFEs were not the solution, because there's no way that I could study at the same time. I'm a talking person. As I said earlier, I don't like to be clinical and follow the books and this is what you have to do, because I believe every single person is different. There is like a textbook cannot teach you one way to fix 100 people. If there's 100 people with the same 100 problems, it's 100 different solutions, and I'm a firm believer in that. So we went a podcast. We are not clinical in our podcast. We do not give advice. Well, we do give advice, but we say we are not doctors. We are not therapists. We are lived experience survivors of this stuff. This is what we did to get out the other side. Listen to us. Take advice from it if you want. If you don't, fine. If you do, try and share some wisdom from us. Like, use our experiences to better your life. And we said from day one of starting the show, this was about the end of September, start of August, around about that point. We released our first episode with no real, where's this gonna go? Let's just do this to help people. We said if we could help one person, then the show will be a success. We weren't even a week in, and we got our first message of someone we'd never met who said how much the podcast has helped them, the first episode. And I remember I was working real estate still, and I was sitting at my desk, and I opened this message, and I said to the team, I said, I'll be back in a second. And I've got up and I've walked out to the car, and I started crying in my car. I got hit with an overwhelming flush of, I don't know how to describe it, but sunshine. There's a part in your body about here. It's actually where your heart is, I think. But anyway, and unless you've felt this feeling before, you won't get what I mean. But I felt warm, and I felt gold, and I felt happiness and content for the first time ever in my life. I'm not going to say first time in life. There's a lot of times I felt happy, but this feeling, what was that feeling? It was purpose and following your universal path of where you're meant to be. And that was the feeling. And I said to Liam, this is it. Like this is us. This is the show. This is what we're meant to do with our lives. And it was exhilarating. We carried on doing real estate not on the side. The podcast was on the side, but real estate really was just a vessel for money to fund the show. It was getting in the way. We couldn't do our big interviews. Liam may tell the story of, he completely checked out of the podcast after about 2 months because he and his fiance of 10 years broke up. And it didn't break him, but it really stopped him from everything. He was grieving and had no energy or no effort for the podcast. So I had to carry it on my back. It was difficult. It was tough. I was doing everything for the show. And I don't resent Liam. I don't blame him for anything. Don't take into context what I'm saying. I understood what he was going through. But I had to carry it solo for about 3 months. And I think that was one of the most challenging things I've ever done, because I had to, while doing a full-time job at 6 days a week, edit the episodes, find the guests, run the social media, run the podcast. I had to outbound. I had to do all the equipment setup. And it was draining doing two at the same time. But me and Liam are a yin and yang. We are literally a yin and yang. Where one thrives, the other picks up the slack time and time again. Even to this point now, I've gotten the show to this point, and Liam is taking it to levels that we didn't even dream possible. When we first started the show, we wrote a guest list of our top 50 guests. Because of Liam, we've just locked in the number 2 on that list. There's no way that I could do this show without him. And I know he said the same about me. So we both birthed the show. I got it till this point, and he is just carrying it at the moment. Like, the things he's doing, it's phenomenal. Anyway, I digress again. We ended up, it was about December. I had a huge fight with my boss at the time. Huge fight over something that should not have even been thought about. There was a lot of overreacting happened in that conversation, and it was the last day of work, and I ended the year not feeling great about the job as is. And then when it got to that point, I couldn't enjoy my holidays. Had 3 to 4 weeks off work, and I spent the entire time just regretting going back. I'm going, I did not want to. I couldn't do it in me. I couldn't put up with the people anymore, the work. My anxiety was at an all-time high. This is while carrying the show and doing everything. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about Liam. This is just my side of the story, so you can see the grind and the effort that we have both put into this show. I went back to work on the second week of January, and immediately the fight picked back up with the boss again. Things were said that I was never going to be able to get over, and there was no way that I was going to be able to continue to work for him after. Look, I said some things as well. I'm not going to fully blame him, but things were said in an exchange that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't work in real estate anymore, but I don't blame him for that anymore. And I actually told him this at the time. I said, this is a golden opportunity for me. Because I'm such a loyal person, this job was ruining my life and I'm not cut out for it. But this, it was a golden opportunity for me to walk away. And I said to him, you might not see it this way, but I see it as a Hail Mary and a saving grace. It was a golden bullet from above. And I said to him, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this team, and I've learnt so much, but I can't do it anymore, and this is my stepping off point. So I then committed to doing the podcast full time with not one thing was telling me that this was going to work. But I had nothing but faith and belief that the universe put this in my path for a reason. Not even a week later, the podcast, our background numbers went up by probably 5 times in a week. Our reach went up by 5 times. We had 9 guests message us saying they wanted to come on the show in that time. Up until that point, I had been pulling teeth, negotiating, working hours after hours trying to find guests, and 9 in like 3 days come at us. One of them was Jim Penman, the CEO of Jim's Mowing. This is 1 week into giving this 100% of our full energy. Enough that Liam actually turned around and said, I'm quitting too. So when people tell you all you need is belief, you fucking believe that. If you, this is coming from someone who never thought in his wildest dreams. The podcast is not even at the age of being a newborn baby. If a baby was conceived when we started the show, the baby would not even be born yet. We're 2 ex-real estate agents who have never touched the podcast or social media world at the moment. We have had, I'm sorry, I'm dragging on too much, but this is the power of belief. If you have a dream, if you have something that you want to do, when you find that golden moment in here, go for it. I can't fathom it enough. It's just, I'm so thankful for every day of where this show is. I'm so thankful for the people that we've helped. And you know how I said we got that message from that woman saying that we've helped her? We get 2 to 3 of them a week now, and every single one has that same feeling in here, and it's an encourager to keep going. So I don't really know what else to say. That's me, that's the show, that's where we're at. I'll quickly throw in there though that I am studying what they call NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm using that as an educational tool to better improve who I am, what I can do, and to help improve the interviews and the questions and all that kind of stuff. One last thing, so with this NLP, it actually helped me, and I want to help people in this same way. So it's taught me characteristic profiles and purpose, and pretty much when I was in real estate, I learned a lot from that as well, but NLP has taught me a lot about the human psyche and how the brain works. I found that I became addicted to anger because if you look at the 6 human needs And look, I'm going to do, I reckon, a full series about this stuff because I love it so much and it's changed my life and I really want to help more people. Instagram is not good for this short form content, but YouTube is. I found out that I was addicted to anger because I had a lack of certainty in my life. So what I found is that I was filling a gap of not having not a paying job, but like with the podcast, everything is so uncertain and up in the air. I actually became addicted to anger and I was subconsciously looking for fights because when you're angry, you're certain. I'm sure that you've seen someone in a shopping center yelling at a staff member and you go, that guy's angry. You don't think, oh, that guy's confused. Oh, that guy's in love. Oh, that guy, you know for certain that guy is angry. So when you're anger, it gives you a piece of like, it filled my certainty receptors. But then also when I left real estate, I got in that huge fight and I somehow reprogrammed in my brain. It's the first time that I ever stood up for myself. Some part of me realized that if you fight with anger, you get what you want, because ultimately I got what I want, which was to leave real estate guilt-free and start the podcast or do it full time. So a part of me realized that. So I'm going to do a full series about that. But today was just, this is me. This is who I am. This is my side of the show. And yeah, I won't keep you for much longer, but if you've listened to this, thank you so much. If you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, thank you so much. If you're listening to us on Spotify, thank you so much. You guys don't realize the impact that you're having on my life. By following us and supporting us, we're able to do what we love, and we're able to then use that to help others. By fueling us, you fuel the show. By fueling the show, you fuel people that need help. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Your love, our passion, words can't even describe. So, yeah, that's me. Gonna love yous, leave yous, and continue loving and growing.